Uh, yeah, Alex, you brought up frauds because we've talked about another fraud here, the United States,
Nah.
another team who is a total fraud, and they will be punished at some point. I think you and everybody in this country who, I'm not saying you, but there's a lot of people coming into this tournament that didn't know the difference between a striker and the goalie, and all of a sudden they know about soccer. I know you actually do. Do you deep down know and agree when the rubber really meets the road? You know this team's not good enough, and you know they're going to get punished against a good team defensively.
Yeah, yeah. So the reality of Pochettino, their manager, like I said, but manager's half the battle. His style, the biggest weakness is the counterattack. And for example, Argentina's biggest strength is their counterattack. So if you go and you play a team like Brazil, like Argentina, these good South American sides that have strong counters, you have Tim Ream back there at center back. He's one of their oldest players. Like he's in the MLS or wherever he is now. You have Chris Richards, who's great, but their entire strategy is pushing their left and right backs up, having them Serginho Dest making runs, Anthony Robinson making runs, getting up the field as much as possible. You're going to burn them out, especially against better wingers, better and faster and more technical wingers, better positioned wingers. They're going to have to be running back full speed over and over and over again, and that's unsustainable. So any good counterattacking team is going to pick them apart. Any good team with good wingers that attacks that weakness will be good. The problem is they just haven't played any opponents that really are good enough to counter that. And that's where they've had a lot of advantage. They've been pushing the ball up the field, keeping it there. Their midfielders have been doing a lot of dirty work to get the ball back. But any teams that can pick through those guys, it's going to be ugly, and it's going to probably be a shootout, to be honest.
Kind of like where I'm going with what I'm about to say next. So tomorrow they play Turkey, who obviously we've heard from Pochettino. You don't want to completely take everybody off because, like, I've heard Germany's manager talk about we want to continue the semblance we have. It's worked. We don't want to be like kind of lulled coming into the next round. I noticed, like we talked about yesterday, Alex, like with the Eagles, like when the Philadelphia Eagles have something clinched, Nick Sirianni will just pull everybody. And some say, well, does that kind of take the mojo that you have going? But when you look at the U.S., tomorrow they play Turkey, which the game means nothing. Turkey is out.
Today.
In 2 games, Turkey has 61 shots and no goals. I'm not making excuses for them, but they have to at some point break through. This is why I love the over in this game. I've had a terrible tournament betting this, but how does this game not scream like 3-2, at least 2-1? I mean, this should be a fun one. I think Turkey could beat them up in the counter.
Yeah, as a betting man, I'll give you a piece of really good insight here.
Let's go.
When it comes to yellow cards, if you get 2 yellow cards in the group stages, you miss a game. So the U.S., some of their best players, Balogun, I think that Anthony Robinson and Tyler Adams, all are on yellow cards. Pochettino's heavily weighing benching them so they don't get that second yellow card, so they don't miss a future game. They already have the top seed locked in for the most part because they won their first 2 games, and their goal differential is exponential. So in this instance, you may want to even pick the under if the over is priced significant. You might want to take the under if they bench those players because that those goal scoring opportunities, the depth the U.S. has, you're going from European football to MLS football really, really, really fast.
Maybe Turkey team total. They have to get some of these to go through. And you mentioned wings. I mean, say what you want. Turkey hasn't finished, but Yoler and Yilmaz are really good on the wing. So yeah, it's a good point about the maybe even a first half over. You want to look at the matchups as far as who the lineup is. But again, we'll see. Donnie, this game don't mean nothing tomorrow. So Bosnia is going to be
today. What do you mean tomorrow, Jeff? Where are you going to be tomorrow? This game is tonight, 10 p.m., which is a ridiculous start time, by the way, too.
Basically,
what do you think about that start time, Jeff?
Yeah, basically tomorrow. I don't care. I wouldn't care if it started at 1 a.m. I'll be up. You whatever reason go to bed at like 7:30.
Nah, so, not anymore, man. I'm a late guy here at this point. Alex, let me ask you a question on this too, real quick. In that game with Turkey and the United States tonight, obviously the U.S. is already moving on at this point. They're not playing Pulisic tonight, right? There's no way he sees the pitch tonight.
I would highly doubt it. I mean, he has a calf injury. Pulisic is known for being injury prone. You don't want to lose him right now, right before you go to the next round. So I would wager. I think they might really bench a lot of players tonight. Just sit them, rest them. If they don't need to play, there's no reason to over allocate and press right now. Let those depth pieces get the reps. You never know when you're going to need them, and that's ultimately, if you have an opportunity to get those guys right, get those guys ready and prepared for an opportunity that you don't want them to have. This is the game to do it against a good opposition. Turkey is a solid team. They have really good players, but like I said before, a bad manager is half the battle, and they don't seem to have good management. Their strategy and tactics are quite poor. They have lots of shots on goal, but they're not good shots. I watched a lot of their games, and they're taking shots outside of the box. They're not really orchestrating many great opportunities. They're just taking shots, and that's a big difference between discipline and just shooting to shoot.
After last night, Bosnia, it looks like Bosnia will be the next matchup for the U.S. once they get into the knockout stage. Bosnia obviously needed a lot of luck and to play hard. They had to beat Italy in the qualifiers, which they were able to do. You give them credit. They beat up on Qatar yesterday. Qatar is one of the worst teams in this tournament. But again, you made some great points in like the tactics you need to beat the United States. Unfortunately, Bosnia just doesn't really present those. They're more of a kind of pack it in. They have some great defenders. Kolasinac is obviously a really good one. They're not exactly an up and down counter press type team. This could be another, again, very good matchup for the United States, but matchups are important. You obviously need good tactics, but you also, if you get the right teams you get to play, you could do a lot of different things. And they've gotten some good matchups so far.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And Bosnia is one of those teams, they just got big dudes, just big guys. That's it. There's strength, physicality. I mean, Edin Dzeko's been their striker for many years. I think he's getting up there in age. He might be on the bench at this point. But the U.S. are young. They're fast. Really, all you have to do against Bosnia, outrun them. Just exhaust them, and eventually you'll be getting runs into the box, and they won't be able to follow. They won't be able to chase. They won't be able to keep up, and just keep exhausting, keep hammering them away, and eventually they'll give up. That game against Italy that they ended up winning, Italy had a 41st minute red card, and they still tied. So it's like, they're not a great team. They're very, like you said, defensive minded. They'll sit back, park the bus, throw big bodies at it, make big runs, force their line higher, and try to get behind. And the U.S. will score a couple goals that way.